I used to believe birthdays were simple: a cake, a few candles, maybe a quiet moment where people looked at you and remembered you mattered. This one was supposed to be no different. I turned 33 that day, and my mother insisted we celebrate together. She said she wanted to do something nice for once. I should have known better. The party was held at my parents' house, the same place where every major family memory lived. The driveway was already full when I arrived. Cars lined up like proof that everyone else had shown up early. I remember sitting in my car for a full minute before getting out, taking a breath, telling myself not to expect too much. Expectations were dangerous in my family. When I walked inside, the smell of food hit me first. Laughter followed. Not the kind that pauses when the guest of honor arrives. The kind that keeps going, loud and careless, as if I were just another extra walking through the scene. My sister Emily was in the center of it all, holding court, her voice carrying over everyone else's. "Happy birthday," someone said, almost as an afterthought. I smiled, thanked them, and told myself it was still early. The party hadn't started yet. At least that's what I thought. I noticed the decorations next. Pink and gold. Emily's favorite colors. Not mine. The cake sat on the table, tall and perfect, with lettering that said, "Congratulations, Em." I stared at it longer than I should have, waiting for my brain to correct the mistake. It didn't. I asked my mother quietly if the cake was temporary. She laughed like I had made a joke. She told me Emily had such a big week and deserved to be celebrated properly. She said we could do something small for me later. Later never comes in families like mine. I felt that familiar tightening in my chest, the one I'd learned to hide since childhood, the one that said, once again, you are not the priority. I told myself not to react. Not yet. I had learned that reacting only made things worse. Emily caught my eye across the room and smiled, the kind of smile that wasn't meant to be shared. It was a reminder. She had always been the center. I had always been the background. Dinner was announced and everyone took their seats. Not one person asked me where I wanted to sit. Emily sat at the head of the table, my father beside her, proudly telling a story about her promotion. My name didn't come up once. Then came the toast. My uncle stood up, glass in hand, and cleared his throat. He thanked everyone for coming to celebrate Emily's success. He talked about how hard she worked, how much she sacrificed, how proud the family was of her. The word birthday was never mentioned. People clapped. Someone shouted, "You deserve it." I felt invisible. Worse than invisible, erased. I looked down at my plate and realized my appetite was gone. What surprised me wasn't the hurt. It was how calm I felt. Something inside me had gone very still, very quiet. That was the moment I stopped trying. What no one at that table knew was how much of their lives I quietly supported. I paid for more than half of the household expenses. I covered bills when my parents came up short. I lent Emily money she never paid back. I did it because I thought that was what family meant. I never reminded them. I never asked for credit. I never made it public. Silence had always been my role. As I sat there listening to another story about Emily's greatness, I made a decision. Not an emotional one, a practical one. I would stop, not with an argument, not with an announcement, just stop. When the cake was finally brought out, the room dimmed. Candles were lit. Someone started singing, and halfway through, the name changed from mine to Emily's without anyone even noticing. I didn't correct them. I watched Emily lean forward, ready to blow out the candles meant for her congratulations. My mother looked at me briefly, hesitation flickering in her eyes, then disappearing. Emily made her wish and blew. I smiled and clapped with everyone else. That smile was the last thing they expected. The next morning, I woke up early and opened my banking app. I canceled the automatic payments, utilities, subscriptions, transfers. One by one, I disconnected myself from their financial safety net. I didn't block anyone. I didn't make a speech. I went to work. I lived my life. 3 days later, my mother called. She asked if there had been a mistake with the electricity bill. I told her calmly that I wasn't covering household expenses anymore. There was silence on the line. Then anger, then guilt, then tears. I stayed calm. By the end of the week, the tone changed. My father called to say they were struggling. Emily texted to say I was being dramatic. My mother accused me of punishing the family. I didn't argue. I reminded them that adults are responsible for their own lives. That's when Emily showed up at my apartment, unannounced. She told me I was selfish. She told me I owed them. She told me family doesn't abandon each other. I asked her when she had ever shown up for me. She had no answer. Word spread quickly. Family members who never checked on me suddenly had opinions. Some sided with me quietly. Others told me to apologize and make things right. Emily lost her apartment 2 months later. My parents downsized. None of them invited me over anymore. For the first time, my absence was felt. I expected to feel guilty. Instead, I felt lighter. The silence in my life was peaceful now, not heavy. On my next birthday, I did something different. I traveled alone. I ate dinner by myself. I bought my own cake. It was the best birthday I'd ever had. Here's the truth no one talks about. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It doesn't involve shouting or confrontation. Sometimes it's simply stepping away. They never apologized. They never admitted what they did. But they learned something they never expected. Life doesn't work when the quiet one stops holding everything together. And that was the moment I finally felt seen. If you've ever been the one who gives without being thanked, who shows up without being noticed, remember this. Silence is powerful, and choosing yourself is not cruelty. Sometimes the quietest revenge is living well.